Good evening, I'm Katerina Georgieva. This is CBC Windsor News. Thank you for watching. We begin with breaking news from the White House. U.S. President Donald Trump says imported cars will be slapped with tariffs starting in April. Here is the full exchange.
You mentioned auto tariffs the other day. Yeah. When do you plan to unroll?
Howard, I'd say over the next sometime, or maybe around April 2nd. I would have done them on April 1st. Believe it or not, I'm a little superstitious. No, literally, we had it planned for April 1st. I said, let's make it April 2nd. You know how much money that costs? That costs a lot of money just that one day, but we're going to do it on April 2nd, I think. Is that right?
That's right.
The details still unclear, but this is in line with comments that Trump made earlier this week in an interview with Fox, threatening tariffs of 50 to 100% on car imports, saying then that he wants to see more American cars built in Detroit instead. Not clear how steep the tariffs will actually end up being, and we've already reported that anything of the sort would be absolutely devastating to the Canadian auto industry and our city in particular. We will continue to track this, and we'll have more on our website as we learn more. Let's turn now to the provincial election. The New Democrats lay out their pitch to this region as the PCs try to unseat a long-serving Windsor MPP. CBC's Dawson Chen reports.
The Ontario NDP are touting their plan for the Windsor-Essex region. At a campaign event on February 14th, Windsor West candidate and incumbent MPP Lisa Gretzky pointed to healthcare and affordable living as key concerns of her constituents.
They can't get the supports they need. They can't access services. That's because Doug Ford has not invested in those services. So I think it is a resounding failure on the part of the Conservative government when it comes to healthcare. We have a plan to support workers and to support seniors, support children, to try and alleviate people having to go to the food bank because the cost of everything has gone up.
The Ontario NDP's other local candidates, Gemma Grayhall for Windsor-Tecumseh and Rachel Mills for Essex, also raised aspects of their plan for the region, such as defending local industries and improving education funding.
We want to ensure that we have a government that's focused on what people need to be successful and that we are supporting the industry that we have. Stellantis and Volkswagen are our friends. We want to make sure that those agreements are fully entrenched and moving forward. We want to protect the workers that work there and make sure that if there are tariffs, that they have support.
I would ensure that the education system is properly funded and that the curriculum remains robust, ensuring that the teachers and EAs and staff are properly supported and that they have the tools in their toolbox to help our children reach their full potential.
The Ontario PC party is trying to unseat Gretzky as Windsor West MPP, but PC candidate Tony Francis has yet to make himself available to any media. And Gretzky says a public debate was canceled due to Francis's lack of participation. Gretzky asks if the community wants a representative who won't take questions.
You know, we have a Conservative candidate here who is refusing to participate in debates, refuses to be accountable to the people, to the public, refuses to answer their questions. I think that speaks volumes.
In an email statement, Tony Francis's campaign said he did not receive an invitation to the debate. Dawson Chen, CBC News, Windsor.
The Windsor-Essex Chamber of Commerce says all local riding associations were made aware of the Chamber's debate plans. Its CEO did confirm that the event was canceled, but would not comment on the participation of specific parties or on Gretzky's statement. February 14th is a Memorial Day for missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls in Canada. A march is held across the country every year to honor those who have been lost. And earlier today, the University of Windsor marked the day with a round dance.
February 14th is important. It's been a march that is across the country. Different communities, different provinces are getting together to honor MMIWG and advance those issues, recognize those issues, and honor our folks that are missing and murdered. There are significant nations and involvement and consultation and collaboration, and so more friends and allies, non-Indigenous people, are recognizing those relationships. I believe standing in solidarity but more action should be had. So the information's there, the resources are there. It's time to action all of that and thwart change, basically. Read the calls for justice, the final reports on murdered and missing Indigenous women and girls. Thoroughly activate those fields and your disciplines. Talk to your employers, talk to your MPs, talk to your members of parliament, talk to your local chief and council. Get involved and activate yourselves.
Colette Kennedy joins us now on Valentine's Day. Colette, bit of a calm before another storm. Is it still on track to hit us?
Yes, it is. I mean, for those that aren't looking forward to this, I wish I could tell you something different, but no, it is on track. And a few things going on here. The weather advisory, which is closer to the Windsor area, although not including us, is for what's really happening for tomorrow. With that system, there'll be some mixing with ice pellets, making for some poor road conditions. But the winter storm watch, which is close by too, that has to do with the system that's actually coming on Sunday. And that one will be the worst with the heavier snowfall totals. So I've got a lot to go over with you. I hope everyone will stick around and we'll break it down.
For sure. Thank you, Colette.
You're welcome.
Up next, Valentine's Day is all about love. But what's love all about? CBC's Jennifer LaGrassa explores just that.
Love is joy. Love is patience. Love is food. Love is heart eye emojis. Love is different for everyone. I wanted to know, what does love mean to you?
Love is awesome. Love is Fortnite. Fortnite is love.
Love is family.
Love is the best for everyone.
Love is kindness, care, and respect.
Love is showing respect to other people.
For me, love is all you need. I think everything else falls into place after that.
Love is when your heart is full of sentiment that is all good. It's thinking of others before yourself.
What does love mean to you?
It makes me feel really happy. It makes me feel safe. And I hope everyone feels like a lot of love.
When you feel that you love someone else, what are you feeling in your body?
It feels warm. It feels warm inside my core.
How do you express it to people?
It's kind of hard to explain. Give them hugs.
But as life trucks along, the way we feel and express love can change. How has the love that you've had for your family, how has it changed or evolved over the years?
At first it was taking care of them physically and emotionally. And then it was enjoying seeing them getting older, finding love, getting married. That was very important to me.
A family is really important, you know, and as you get older, I think you realize it even more.
It's giving with knowing that you're not going to be paid back. It's knowing that you'll always care about them. It means that you want them to be happy, well-educated, have good jobs. It means being happy, finding joy. To me, joy is very important to find. It's very important to find joy every day in your life.
How beautiful was that? Valentine's Day is a special event for New Brunswick seniors Brenda Trafford and David Steele. They fell in love later in life after a memorable phone call.
Brenda and I got together and everything's worked out really nicely. We enjoy each other's company. We enjoy traveling together. And I love her because I can go to Fredericton and we don't have to stop for a pee like she does.
The pair met 5 years ago when David began volunteering for Nursing Homes Without Walls, a program that matches volunteers to seniors who need support. David, who had recently lost his wife, matched with Brenda for weekly phone calls, and both said they liked the sound of each other's voices. And one thing led to another, and they met in person and eventually fell in love. Brenda, who is a widow, says that she feels, quote, lucky, lucky, lucky to have found David at a point in her life when she thought she would never find love again. We're going to shift gears again to focus on the Ontario election. A new report on homelessness across the province says that the problem is getting worse while spending to address it has stagnated. That comes as the province's political parties offer deferring solutions on the campaign trail. Sean Jeffords has the details.
There doesn't seem to be a corner of the province untouched by homelessness. And a new report says the problem is growing while government spending to address it has remained largely unchanged over the past decade. That comes as provincial party leaders are pitching their plans to address the issue. But this expert from the Maytree Foundation looked at the numbers and says more funding is needed to address the problem.
Spending has stagnated in real dollars. We really aren't spending any more than we were 10 years ago on housing and homelessness.
The foundation crunched publicly available government data on program spending aimed at homelessness and low-income housing. They say that in 2013, when the figures are adjusted for inflation, Ontario was spending about $1.3 billion. Spending spiked in 2020 to over $2 billion because of the pandemic. But that was projected to come back down to around $1.5 billion in 2024. The Maytree report contrasts those numbers with a study released last month by the Association of Municipalities of Ontario. It found that over 81,000 people experienced homelessness last year in the province, a number that's jumped 25% in 2 years.
We are at a real tipping point. Without concrete action, it is only going to get worse.
White says when you look at those numbers, it shows Ontario isn't spending enough to address homelessness. It needs to spend $11 billion over the next decade.
We need a real plan, a real investment, a real time horizon, and a real goal that says we're gonna solve this thing.
Ontario's PC party says it will spend $3 billion over the next 3 years on affordable housing, homelessness, and emergency shelters.
I'm going to keep telling you, there's never been more of an investment in homeless folks than what we've invested.
Liberal leader Bonnie Crombie is committed to building more housing and enhancing addiction services.
It has to be affordable housing, and it needs to be supportive housing for those individuals who are living on the streets, some of them facing some vast mental health challenges, some addiction issues.
NDP leader Marit Stiles says the party will build 60,000 new supportive housing units, upload all shelter costs, and enhance housing benefits.
We need a government that's going to lead and going to build the homes that are permanently, deeply affordable that Ontarians need.
And Green Party leader Mike Schreiner has promised to build 310,000 affordable homes.
If we're going to move the 81,000 people currently experiencing homelessness in Ontario right now out of encampments into housing, we have to make sure that the government provides the mental health and addiction supports that people need.
Ontario goes to the polls on February 27th. Sean Jeffords, CBC News, Toronto.
This weekend, the Canadian flag as we know it turns 60 years old. Canada adopted the maple leaf flag on February 15th, 1965. And one of 6 original Canadian flags is actually on display at Windsor's Chimchuk Museum in their collection. We stopped by to take a look.
This is one of the original Canadian maple leaf flags. This was actually flown in 1965 on Parliament Hill on February 15th, and it was one of 6 flags that was the first ones that were kind of shown to the nation on the Parliament Hill flagpole. This particular flag was actually given as a gift to one of the honor guards that guarded the flag, who then passed it on to a friend, who eventually ended up being donated to our collection here at the museum. I think the maple leaf has represented Canada long before it was ever our official flag in 1965. Our military consistently used it, especially in the First World War, as shoulder patches. It's unifying, maple leaf forever. It's showing, to me, the maple leaf flag is welcoming, peace, and love. The maple leaf definitely means home. There's a few things that I always think of Canada, but the maple leaf is always number 1. Maybe Beavers number 2, hockey's number 3, 72 Summit Series, or Crosby's big goal. I think this kind of was one of the last steps of us really, really showing the world that we are our own nation. We've designed our own flag. We've separated more from the British Empire. So the flag has had an interesting history, right? It's, especially in the last few years, it kind of was a unifying thing, and it almost was a divisive thing. But I think one of the things about Canadian nationalism is it always comes together. We're not American. I think the flag is bringing people back together.
Welcome back. The Buy Canadian response to the Trump tariff threats continues. And for people having trouble determining whether products are Canadian or not, there is help on the internet. The CBC's Vanessa Lee reports.
With the threat of tariffs looming, Canadians are doubling down on buying local.
We see this one is very Canadian.
These Montrealers have created an app to make it easier for shoppers to identify Canadian products.
We saw on social media a lot of different lists of products being shared. They were not always correct, so we thought we had to find a way to centralize all this information.
Buy Beaver is community-driven, relying on users to comment, rate, and share information.
You can scan the barcode, then it will rate the product as either Canadian or not on a scale of 1 to 5.
and it will rate it based on where it's made, where the ingredients and the materials are from, and finally, who owns the brand or the company.
Similar apps have launched overnight with a common cause.
And we've got a couple of ratings there. Peanut butter made in Toronto.
The Shop Canadian app already has more than 100,000 downloads.
This was about a week ago, and we were in our kitchen, and I was trying to figure out if what I was eating was Canadian, and I had to jump through several hoops to try and figure out what I was eating. And eventually I came up with the idea.
It also leans on crowdsourcing. Half of the 100,000 products in its database have been reviewed.
But it's cool to see that we're making a difference. I mean, in our wildest dreams, we were hoping to keep a couple $100s in Canada. With the traction we've gained and the people using our app, we're able to do a little bit more.
The Buy Canadian sentiment is having an impact on bottom lines. Family-owned Chapman's Ice Cream says it has seen a bump in sales.
I would say, yeah, maybe 10%. So yeah, very significant, especially for January, which is typically the lowest sales month of the year.
The creators of the apps know they're not perfect and say they're working around the clock to ensure the information is accurate. A labor of love for their country. Vanessa Lee, CBC News, Montreal.
The federal tax holiday ends this weekend. The government cut tax on items like diapers and restaurant meals to provide relief to cash-strapped consumers and to boost business. But was it worth the effort? CBC's Anis Haidari reports.
There are mixed reviews out there about just how much a GST cut changed anyone's shopping habits.
No, not really. It's not like, oh, now I can go for a vacation. Or, oh, now I can buy, I don't know, like a PlayStation.
Well, I guess if I added up the numbers, it would show up. But really, in terms of behavior or buying, it had no bearing.
The biggest difference has definitely been at restaurants. I'm more encouraged to go out to restaurants.
Restaurants like this one agree.
I think it was a much needed relief when they saw their bill. They were very excited to see that tax break reflect on their bill. It was much less than they were expecting.
Industry leaders want the cut to stay to help a sector they say is struggling.
This is actually working and stimulating the economy and providing Canadians with the relief that they needed to be able to treat themselves on a day-to-day or week-to-week basis.
But the reviews aren't as hot in other sectors. One of Canada's largest payment processors said they saw fewer card transactions in the first month of the GST cut compared to the year before, with Moneris suggesting the tax break didn't boost sales, something predicted by many economists.
You called this a nightmare several months ago. Has the dream come true?
Maine government managed to use several $billion in one of the worst ways I could imagine, so I suppose so.
The GST cut was projected to cost $1.6 billion.
We knew that this was going to be an expensive policy, with the general idea that it would make people feel like life was more affordable. I think that at a fundamental level, that hasn't shifted.
On top of that, retailers like this one agree this tax break didn't seem to drive spending.
I think it was such a non-starter. I think we didn't feel that it was fantastic or like terrible. It just didn't really do anything.
So by Sunday, say goodbye to the tax cut that just didn't cut it for everyone. Anis Haidari, CBC News, Calgary.
When we come back, we'll have Colin Kennedy back with us to talk us through this 1-2 punch system that is coming through the weekend, how to prepare and what to know if you plan on hitting the road. Stay with us. Colette is back with us now. Colette, you got to lead us into this stormy weekend, so go for it.
Yes, okay. Happy to do that, and let's see if we can kind of help you make your plans. If you do have to be on the roads, it's not ideal, it really isn't, but Saturday's likely the better day between Saturday and Sunday. Holiday Monday, if you can wait till then, that might be even better. So winter weather travel advisory, not too far away, and that's for Saturday because there'll be some mixing with ice pellets, so that becomes a little more treacherous on the roadways. And then it's a winter storm watch. Again, this is not at this time for southwestern Ontario. We could see ourselves added into this, but a little bit further east. And that's for what's coming on Sunday, which is kind of the second wave of a 1-2 punch with this storm system. So these are our current temperatures at -7. Of course, we know we have to put those winds in there. We're still talking wind chills, and we've got a while yet for that. So it feels like cooler than -10, -11 actually with that wind chill. Sort of the break, yes, the cloud cover's been moving in, but the break before this system. Now the first wave, you can see that activity here along that frontal boundary just kind of pushing towards the Great Lakes. But the main storm or energy with this coming with that trough in the jet stream, and that'll be the part that rides in that second part into the day Sunday, not just with heavier snowfall totals, but with that snow blowing around because of stronger winds. So some lighter stuff for tomorrow morning. It does move in then through the overnight and starts early tomorrow. A bit of a dry slot or a bit of a break, but that doesn't mean it's the end of it. You just get that little bit of a break. So maybe even tomorrow evening, there'll be a few hours in there. You're okay before this really winds up into Sunday. And it's going to be, especially in the morning hours and early afternoon for southwestern Ontario, but with the blowing snow, it's going to have an impact all through the day and even into Monday, because Monday has windy conditions associated with it as well. So we are looking at those overnight temperatures actually coming up as we push towards the morning hours. So we'll come up towards -3. And in terms of the snowfall amounts for southwestern Ontario, we're looking at, because of some of the mixing, maybe it's 5 to 8 on Saturday, but I want you to know there's that potential for an additional 15 to 20 on Sunday. So even in southwestern Ontario, some of those totals could be approaching, this is between the 2 days, could be approaching 30 centimeters. You travel eastward and they'll be approaching 40 in towards the nation's capital, possibly even 50 centimeters.
Well, important for everybody to plan accordingly. Thank you so much, Colette. And thanks to everybody for watching. Have a fabulous long weekend and happy Valentine's Day.
Good night.